I mean, I think part of it, right, is just the Celtics take more threes, I think, than every other NBA team. Them and Dallas take the most by far. And when you take a lot of threes and you make them at just an absurdly high rate, and you're really good anyway, like I'm not saying that just it was luck, like they're the best team and they made all their threes. And when that happens, just like, I mean, like, what are you supposed to do? It's kind of a 3-point variance sport in college and pro. And when you have like the best team and they do that, I mean, it's just an avalanche. And this just continues kind of like, I mean, you're, how old are you, PJ?
27.
Like, when was the last time you saw something like this? Not this game even specifically, but this run. Like they're winning by crazy margins, not 52, but like
Right.
this is just the exclamation point on the sentence where I mean they played Dallas the other night and I was like excited for the game because I think when Dallas plays really well, their ceiling is fun. And I was like, oh, well, like if they play to their ceiling, this could be a really fun game. Boston has to play down a little bit, but the Mavs, I mean, Luka had a crazy statistical game. You know, he's got this streak of 30-point triple doubles or whatever. It's like five in a row, something like that. And uh and I mean it was like a no contest in the second half of the game. I mean it was like, oh, like I guess they're not going to challenge him either, like the way Boston's playing right now. Porzingis doesn't even play yesterday, and the whole thing had been, well, Porzingis misses time, especially in the playoffs. Watch out, like they can get beaten. And I was saying this too because we had seen a couple games of evidence of that. He doesn't play, doesn't matter at all. I mean, just not even remotely close. So Tyler writes in the chat, like when the Heat won a lot of games in a row. So what was that? That was the season after the Mavs finals loss, right? Where they beat the Thunder, or was it the year after that? So it's like around that era. Then you have the
Right.
73-9 Warriors, right? Which is, I'm sure they had a run like this. They won more in a row, obviously. I mean, they went 73-9, but like, I don't know, like just like a 5-6 games where you're not like they're winning. Everybody, like all the good teams win a lot of games in a row. Just absolutely blasting good teams. Like Dallas is probably like the 12th best team in the league. The Warriors might be like the 10th best team in the league right now, and they're just
Yeah.
getting annihilated. Like it's not without historical comparison, like in modern times, but I mean it's only a handful of teams that you'd probably put on a list that have done stuff like this. The injury news that we got in the last 24 hours, because Booker was this morning, right? I think that came out, and then Donovan Mitchell was literally during the show.
Yeah.
Considering both of those pieces of news like together, they make it more likely that Joe Mazzulla wins Coach of the Year. Like there's a tangible difference in those two pieces of news, like knowing those and not knowing them. And the reason for that is that 3 of the Celtics' next 6 games are against the Cavs or the Suns. So in the next 10 days, they will play the Suns twice. In literally 10 days from today, they play them the second time. So maybe Booker's back for that game, maybe. But like, would you bring him back to play a game you're probably going to lose, or would you wait a game? Like, I don't know what the goal is there necessarily. And the Celtics play the Cavs literally tomorrow with no Donovan Mitchell. So the Celtics will now play what was supposed to be their toughest 6 games by far remaining. I mean, you look at the rest of the schedule; it's kind of a joke. These next 6 were going to be the tough ones, and you could have thrown in Dallas and Golden State that just happened. It was kind of a tough 8, really. And then they blitzed the first 2. Now it's Cleveland, no Mitchell, and the Suns twice, one for sure with no Booker. And we saw how that went against OKC last night. I mean, just ran him out of the gym, basically. And then the second one, maybe Booker's back, maybe he's not. Probably not, would be my guess if they're saying 7 to 10 already. I just don't know where the losses are, like that you can count on competitive games. They can drop a game to anybody. It's the NBA. But like, I just took 3 of the most difficult games on the schedule and removed the opposing star. Like okay, now when are they losing? They play at Denver. Great. Okay, give them I'm not even saying they're going to lose the game. Give them the loss in that game. That's 13. You want to say they play the Bucks twice? They split? Okay, that's 14. They play the Thunder, but they host the game. The Celtics are impossible at home. I can only get to like 14, 15 here. That's 67, 68 wins. Like that's what it is. I don't know, man. And that's assuming they even split with the Bucks or lose to Denver. And what gives you the idea that's happening anytime soon? So look, like things are more random than that. They'll be in a close game we don't expect. They'll drop a game maybe that we don't expect. But the path in the next 2 weeks that was supposed to be really difficult got way easier. And man, the number of roadblocks remaining to them being like one of the best 5 teams ever, 7 teams ever, the number of roadblocks are vanishing really fast. And I agree with Matt. Like, there's a reason last week I did this whole Missoula thing. I just go, what if they just didn't lose a lot more or didn't lose at all? What would voters do? And I think what you're figuring out, and this was mentioned on Bill Simmons' podcast last night, and it was then picked up by a couple other NBA writers once he talked about it, is like, holy crap, look at their record. We might have to give Missoula a coach. Like, this is what we tried to see coming a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Happy to see the market move like this. And now it's just, how many games did they get? Like, how many games do you think they need? Like, what if I told you a number that the Celtics won? Like, hey, PJ, I have the crystal ball. They win 67. I assure you that's the number of wins. Would you go bet Missoula right now? Like, thinking that's enough? Like, if I said 67, you would bet him?
I would. I think 65 is the sweet spot. I think 66, 67, I think he'd win. 64, 5. Oh, it also
depends on...
What about
65 exactly? What about 65 exactly? I think he'd lose.
I kind of do too. 67,
which is really
you
stupid.
think he wins?
Because, like, what's the difference? Like, what's the difference between 65 and 66? But I kind of think it gets... I agree with you. It kind of gets, like, maybe 65 he wins. I don't know. Like, what's the number where you'd be confident he wins? The lowest number where you'd be confident he wins?
68. Without a doubt in my mind, he would win.
I think 67's mine. I think I'm, like, really close to you on that. I think I'm... Which is so funny, right? Like, it sounds like such splitting hairs. Let's say they, like, sweep this. Like, which basically just means beat Denver at this point. If they sweep this road trip, they're 53-12. And they would have won 16 games in a row. And I'm sure you've seen Joe Mazzulla's price to win Coach of the Year crashing. So he's like 455 right now. Like, does this have more room to crash? Are we kind of done for now and it's Dagnalt and him and we got to go for a little bit here? Like, how live, like, it's not a long shot anymore. Now we have to have a real conversation. Like, how live is Mazzulla really to win Coach of the Year?
I think he's way more live. I think he's way more live than even the market still suggests. Like, I got this at 20. And I was like, this is preposterous given what we know is going to happen here. There's going to be a pressure. I think part of the problem with the Thunder, both on the SGA tickets and on Dagnall, this is going to be the problem is like, yeah, but like, this is their first year. Like, they've got time. Like, voters do think of this. Like, they are like, you know, they'll have time. Like, they're going to be back here. Like, it'll be their turn eventually. With Mazzulla, I think it very much is like, am I really not going to reward a team that wins 67 games? Am I really not going to reward this team for this if they win 67 to 70 games? Like, can we really do that? Because like they can't give it to Tatum. You've talked about that on the show ad nauseum about why that won't happen. They will not give it to Tatum. They can't in good conscience give it to Tatum. But they're going to be stuck with, okay, I can't give it to Tatum and I can't give Drew DPOY or Derek White the Derek White of the Year award. What do I do here? And it's going to be, I got to reward Joe Mazzulla for winning this many games. If you look back at the history of the award, when anybody reaches this level of good, they tend to get rewarded unless they have a super team. And nobody looks at the Celtics as a super team. Because it's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and then like Kristaps Porzingis who bounced around and Luka didn't think was a good fit. Like, this is not a super team. So I think there will be a lot of pressure from the voters to be like, I got to reward them for something. And winning that many games in the regular season deserves some type of accolade. And so I do think he'll get a share of votes, which is why I think that until this number gets under 3, I think that there's probably value on Joe Mazzulla to win Coach of the Year.